All right. How's everybody doing? Let's do a quick mic check and video check. How are you, Coach Jay? You can see we have Coach Jay over to our left. We're trying to see if we could do some fun stuff, trying to get increase the production value. But can you guys hear me okay? How about you, Jay? Let's do a quick mic check on your
You sound pretty good to me. Hopefully I sound good to everyone else. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Good to be on Slow Markets tonight.
It's been a wild ride in the market since last time we were in this together. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. As always, there's our Topstep risk disclosure in the YouTube chat. Everything we're talking about, as always, is for educational purposes only. It is not a signals class, so any trades that we are entering is for educational purposes only. That being said, just going through what tonight's going to look like, we do have our guest, Coach Jay, as you can see over here on my left. We're going to do our rapid fire. We're going to have Jay chime in a little bit, and then we'll see if there's any opportunities in gold. And then after that gold trade, we'll talk a little bit more about some overnight strategies. I know Coach Jay has placed a few trades overnight, and then maybe at the end we could talk about some trader statistics and go over some statistics together. That would be fun. And if you'd like me to review your statistics, Coach Jay and I, in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and pin our Topstep Discord. So in Discord, you could click on that link, and that will take me directly to, it'll take you directly into my channel inside the Topstep Discord. And then you can share me your statistics like I'm going to go through right now. If you click on the setting, or not the settings, the performance stats, go over here on the right-hand side, click on share. That will give you a link, and you can just share them there on that, in that link pinned to the chat. Whew, okay, that being said, Coach Jay, how's your trading been? How's everything going? I know it's been a while. You've taken, last week you were on vacation, right?
Yeah, so last week I was on vacation. This week I've just been kind of prepping for running at the buzzer on TopstepTV. And as you know, Dakota, it's a lot. It's a process. Getting everything set up. I think I spent all of last Sunday, setting up OBS, getting this green screen set up, and working things out. Still some things to work out, but trading has kind of been on the back burner for me a little bit. I did take some small trades, took about $150 loss on the ES today, but hasn't been the front of mind for trading right now. We'll get back to it next week once we have everything settled with at the buzzer.
Yeah. I trust me. I know all too well. I mean, we're still going. It's always production, right? Production. We had Coach Jay and I had a conversation about this before, and it's always fun. Is that we're traders first, and traders who are coaching and helping other traders. And then we're learning the whole influencer and streamer and being able to run everything on the production side. So it's a whole new world, and it's fun. And we're here to continue to increase the quality, find ways to reach out to our traders.
I never knew.
Yeah. It's a whole new thing, right? And as we continue to do this, it's just little tiny things where we can do this, do that. As you can see, I have my amazing intro and outro that the Topstep team has helped me with, and it's been great. But let's get into the markets. Here's the NASDAQ. This is a NASDAQ on an hourly chart. Let's take a look at the daily. As always, I like to start on the daily, and then I'll work my way back down. So we're getting into an interesting place in the NASDAQ. We've had this nice run after, from the bottom, from the world was ending right around 17,300s, and we are already back above 19,150, 152 as we begin to speak. Let's go ahead and do some analysis. So the first thing I see is, this is one heck of a rally from off this bottom, and I'm starting to get not as bullish, looking for some type of a pullback in order to get in long. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, and I'll show you what it looks like on the hourly chart though. And this is where I'm a little bit skeptical in terms of, I don't want to say fear, just caution, right? Where whenever we get to a key area that we're at on the NASDAQ, and so here is an hourly chart, and this is something that is raising a little bit of caution on my end, is you can see this very strong downtrend. I know everybody draws these trend lines differently, but essentially it's a zone. And the way that I'm looking at this is, if there's going to be people, I'm not the only one seeing this. I'm sure, Coach Jay, there's thousands and thousands of traders all over the world who are probably maybe seeing something similar. Could we see some type of a pullback here? Or was this the pullback? Maybe, we could draw the trend line a little bit differently. I'm not sure. This is, to me, when I'm looking at something in terms of a downtrend, it's not an exact. This is not an exact trend line. It's more of a zone. And, sometimes we do see whipsaws, a little poke above it, and then a drop. So if we see a sell-off, I would not be surprised. I would be okay with looking for a pullback, maybe back down, dare I say, like 18,900s. And I mean, we did have a pullback today. It was really quick, all the way down to 18,930s, and that immediately got bought back up. But for a deeper pullback, like a 2 or 3 day stretch of a sell-off, I wouldn't be surprised. Thoughts on that, Coach Jay? Let's see if we can get your charts up here. There we go. There is your charts.
Awesome. I'm looking at the NASDAQ as well. I'm seeing the 19,200 area. 19,200 is somewhat of a resistance. We traded up to it today. You can see this purple box that I have up here. That was from, I believe, July 30th, where we had some selling come in there. I saw the trend line that you had to the downside. I'm looking at the NASDAQ and what's happening in the NASDAQ and the ES. It's been a lot of low volume on the last couple of days. So I'm not sure that it's convinced buying that we need to trade above these levels. So I want to see some buying come in here. Of course, I want to be a buyer. It looks like on a higher time frame, if we look at a 30-minute chart, we're starting to change the trend a little bit with the moving averages up above the 200 moving average. But I need to see some volume come in for confirmation of that. If we get the push above 19,200, I see something 19,350 as an area that we can trade to, but I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to that volume.
Okay, volume. Yeah, I know volume is key, and I have traders have that conversation quite often where I don't look at volume, but a lot of great traders like yourself, Coach Jay, does, and that does, it matters. It really does. In the way that I trade, I don't look at it, and it's not a key indicator on whether I'm getting in, getting out when I'm day trading. However, today was a beautiful example. Not as much volume. It's the summer. We're getting back to normal trading, and it's been a lot slower. However, if we look at the hourly, or not the hourly, the 5-minute chart, this is something that I'm watching. If you joined Power Hour today with Hogue, and the reason why I was looking for longs, and yeah, it was just, we had that nice rejection from the 900s. We, was making, and we were in the middle of making what I believe to be a higher low. Sure enough, it was. However, when we were on the ES, you guys seen it. It sucked. We were getting stop run. It went down. It just ticked our stop, and then it rallied over here during the end of Power Hour, which is still a higher low. And it looks like as we were starting slow markets and getting prepared for the class, maybe we just made another higher low. And up above pretty much where we're at, right? This is a nice key resistance zone. And so from a technical standpoint, to draw some type of a pattern, this to me looks and can be very bullish. However, there's been plenty of times where if we do break out and we can fail and then have that sell-off that we were looking at on the higher time frame, or we just break out and continue and start to rally. If we do break out and start to rally, some areas and some targets that I am looking at in the NASDAQ to the long side, I'm going to go ahead and clear it up a little bit, is going to be right here at this 19,000, 360s, 380s. This, showed to be a nice resistance zone back near the end of July. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we do rally and break out. We could start to see these mid 19,300s come into play. And yeah, very much we could come up and see that. I wouldn't be too surprised.
Yeah, I really do like that area. It's in range for the daily ATR going into tomorrow. I know we have jobless claims coming out in the morning. That might expedite the move, but yeah, if we see some buying, that would be the upside target, 360, 350 area.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I like it. Let's go ahead and move on to the next, and that is going to be crude oil. Let's take a look at that. Crude oil has been let's get rid of that. So, all right, so for crude oil, I was, so this is interesting. Last night I did talk about a possible trade setup, and we'll talk about it more after the gold trade and we start doing some more slow markets class, because I think it kind of worked out to an extent, right? If you guys were joining me last night, we were basically about here on crude oil. This is the hourly chart. And I was looking to put like a buy limit at $78 a barrel. We went down, and sure enough, it did touch $78 a barrel. And, it gave us not a lot. It gave us maybe a profit target if you did like 70 cents. However, I was looking for that a longer and a bigger move, and it failed. So I think once we're done with the gold trade, I want to talk more about this more in depth, because there is something to it. And I think last night was a great example how you can have an order, it could get filled, and you can make money. For this example last night, we'll go over it later. We're just going to do an analysis right now. Kind of similar to what I was looking at last night, finding a way to buy crude oil. We did sell off. We had a couple fake out. On a smaller, shorter term, we are making lower lows and, making lower highs. However, this was such a bullish move. Something that I am looking at and considering, there was a lot of support right around this 76.50 area. There's a lot of support again, not only the mid-July, coming near the end, and even the beginning of August. There was a lot of support right around the 76 to, this is a big zone, right? 76.80 to maybe 76.30. We're almost there. We're almost there again. We're hovering around $77 a barrel. And so I'm going to say something similar to last night, where maybe we see crude oil make another run down into these mid 76s and then possibly look for an opportunity to get in long. Just looking from a long bias. However, if we are looking for shorts, maybe you wait for something, some type of a bounce, and then we look to short it to see if crude oil can make a lower high. But right now, I'm in favor of longs. If we do get a bounce and we start to show resistance, then of course a lower high could come into play. Thoughts on that, Coach Jay?
I like where crude is for a buy right now as well, somewhere near 76.80.
Okay.
Just a reminder for everyone as well, if you're trading on any other platform that's not TopstepX, TopstepX is probably going to roll over for crude to the October contract tomorrow. So levels might be a little bit different than what we're talking about right now. I think we're still on that August contract, but tomorrow we should roll over for volume purposes. But yeah, somewhere on this current contract, the U contract, somewhere around 76.80 looks like a decent area for a buy in crude. We were talking about that $80 level. For whatever reason, crude does not like $80, does not like to be above $80. And we saw the rejection on Tuesday. So need to see some buyers step back in here, somewhere around 76.80, 76.50 in that zone. If I'm not seeing selling, I like buys in crude there.
Okay, yeah. And that is always something to be aware of, rollovers in contracts where, maybe instead of even looking to place an order on crude oil, just not even touch it. We said this before and earlier on TopstepTV, Adobe said it, was trading is optional. A lot of people don't realize that, and sometimes myself included. It's like, I'm going to be on TopstepTV today. I have my class. Every single day when I wake up, the markets are open. The New York session opens every night time before I get ready for bed. Asian sessions open, and you just feel almost obligated, like a job, to sit at your desk and place a trade. And we don't have to. And I love that idea where we do not have to trade. Trading is optional. If the markets are just not exactly how you want it to be, don't place the trade. And it's true. And I like to play poker a lot. I know my trading buddy Rips loves to play poker. He's killing it down there in Vegas, and it's the same thing. You sit there and sit there. You do not have to put your chips in the middle of the pot if you don't like what cards you have. If you have two really bad cards in front of you, you don't have to throw your money in there. You could just wait and then wait and then wait. And then if you don't get anything, just go home and you can come back the next day. It's the same for trading. It's optional. You don't have to trade. And I think this can be the same for the market conditions that we're currently experiencing. It's the summer, trading's getting, pretty choppy. I mean, it can be very tough. And so, yeah, I wanted to stress that because I think it was a great comment and it was a great thing and it's a great point of view because we just don't have to trade. Other than that, we'll come back to crude oil when we start talking about more of a slow markets concept. We do have about 12 minutes until gold opens, but let's take a look at Nikkei. Nikkei, the Japanese market, it's been really volatile. It's bullish. We are getting a nice run in the Nikkei the past 1 hour. This pattern that I was looking at the other day is, let me go ahead and switch it to my charts. So here's the Nikkei, and we started to be bullish the last hour. But this pattern that I was looking at the other day, it played out really beautiful, right? This is the same pattern that we're kind of looking at on the NASDAQ tonight on the hourly chart, right? So, kind of comparing this chart to the NASDAQ, we have that same pattern set up where we're making equal highs and higher lows. And, here on Nikkei, we broke out and we did, let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see that a little better. We broke out, we tested it not once, we tested it twice. And then here we are, we tested it. Beautiful buying opportunity if somebody happened to, resistance becomes support, support becomes resistance. Here's a beautiful example where we broke out and now it's became support twice. And now we're continuing to push back up towards, 36,700. If we do break, I wouldn't be too surprised if we could start to see, I was looking at this earlier, maybe these 37,500 zone coming into play here on the Nikkei because we're continuing to make higher lows and higher highs, and beautiful pattern here on the Nikkei. I don't think you've traded the Nikkei, have you, Coach Jay?
I've traded it a few times, not too much, not enough to comment on it. The one thing I do see looking at financial juice, we have Chinese unemployment rate. Not sure how that will affect the Nikkei, but Asian market, it may. And that's coming out at 10 p.m. Eastern, so just after this class is over.
Okay, yeah, that's always important to be aware of the news. We can see some very volatile moves in the Nikkei, especially the past few weeks. But yeah, so that pattern, the same exact pattern that you see where it's a flagging pattern, a wedging pattern. I hear people say, oh, that's bearish. I'm like, you know what? The trend is down, so technically you could look at this as a bearish. However, when we're making equal highs, I like to look at this as more bullish because higher lows and equal highs to me is more bullish. And then if we take a look at that same pattern here on the NASDAQ on the hourly chart, it's not as clear.
I'm just going to say something real quick. Where I'm sitting on this screen, I feel like I'm a support for all of the markets. Like they're stopping like right above my head. Go ahead.
That was saying the shoulder head shoulder pattern.
Right. I can just sit here and blow all the markets and keep them up.
Shoulder head shoulder. We'll find something like that would match your silhouette. But yeah, on the hourly chart, it's not as clear because it's not as clear as like the NASDAQ, but you could kind of see it, right? Where it's a flagging pattern and, maybe we're in the middle of breaking out now. Every time I keep switching back to the NASDAQ, we're pushing higher. We're at, 165s. And the start of class, we were at like 100, closer to 100. But yeah, interesting type of technical analysis. Now let's take a look at gold. A lot of traders here are gold traders. We're looking at that gold trade, and I think it's more of the same thing, Coach Jay. I don't know if you caught last night, but yeah, making higher lows, making higher highs. We were bullish last night. It worked out really well. Let's take a look at the hourly chart. I think we're in a similar situation where we're getting a pullback from 2,518. We sold all the way off down to 2470s, so 2470s. And so maybe that was some support. We're bullish. We've been trending up. I do see some support and resistance in this zone. I mean, it's a pretty decent zone. Yeah, I like longs in gold, just finding areas of opportunity, getting in as we're seeing that market structure play into effect. Not too much structure on here. I'm just looking through this. Thoughts on gold, Coach Jay?
When you were trading gold last night, where your exit was, I think around 25.12. I was actually looking for a short. I took a short there around 25.12 for a few points. Just not seeing the volume, the buying to push us back up. But gold is kind of in a balance over the last couple of days. If I'm looking at a 30-minute chart, the lows of that range, kind of where we are now, 24.75. Maybe if we want to call it a little lower, 24.60. And then the highs right below that all-time high. So where we are now, if we're trading it like a range-bound market, I think, the longs are the play, just from a technical perspective.
It's bouncing right off that shoulder.
Yep. Yeah, 5 minutes until that volume comes in. So we will see. But that major 2,500 level, right? That's a key level. In order for us to make all-time highs, we're going to need to see buying above that, and we just haven't yet on these last couple of trips up there. So when we get to that level, I want to pay attention to volume, see what market participants think about trading above there, trading to new all-time highs.
Perfect. Yeah, so let's start to zoom in and see. We have 6 more minutes left. Let's take a look at a 5-minute chart and see if we can see anything of significance here. And as everybody was pointing out in the chat, we did get that nice rally to start the class, and now we're starting to pull back and sell off. So maybe what we look for is something similar to this pattern. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it, right? Where we had a rally, we had a pullback, and maybe we get some type of a continuation. So here's a rally. Do we see a pullback? And then maybe look to get in long for a continuation back up to the 2,500 level. Let's see. 2,500 is the big key psychological. I wouldn't be surprised if we do rally up. That could be some of the targets. On the flip side, maybe we come back down and test these 2470s, 2480s. Let's see. And you let me know if you're seeing anything, Coach Jay. I know you're looking at the DOM and the order flow, and we do have a lot of traders, and there's something to that. It's always nice to have a trading buddy to trade with.
We'll definitely see that. I know we saw some volume coming in a little bit earlier than expected. I saw some traders mentioning it in the chat as well. I think there's a lot of news coming out in Asia right now that might be the catalyst for that, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at, a half an hour ago, there was a little bit of a move, that 5-point move in gold. So we'll see, right? Just want to see a continuation. I see some room to the upside. Just want to see the volume that comes in that agrees with that as well.
Perfect. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, there's that shoulder head pattern you're talking about. We're talking.
Yep.
You're talking about right there. Now it just needs to bounce off that shoulder. Having fun with the green screen. Yeah, let's watch this. I would like to see a play for a breakout. Maybe we come back down and test this 87 level. I would like to see maybe this 88, this zone becomes support again. If we can make our way back down there, I could look for a reversal. We do have 4 minutes until the 8 p.m. open. Yeah,
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think that's about it. So let's get to some questions. If you guys have questions, throw them in the chat. We have amazing moderators who will be filling me in. Let me see if I could get you in here as well. Let's go ahead. Let's do...
Dakota, did you watch Jared Tendler today?
Who?
The Jared Tendler session.
Yes, I did. What did you think about that?
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was amazing as always. Anytime we have any trading psychologist on, I think it's a great session. I usually, like I was saying at the buzzer, usually shut my trading platform down and just kind of listen into what they have to say, take notes. And we'll do the same thing with, Dr. Brett Steenbarger next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, always really good. What do you think?
Like I've been saying it all week, and I'm not just saying it just because we're having him on here on Topstep TV. I'm saying it because I truly believe it, Coach Jay, is that regardless of where you're at in your trading career, whether you have 20 plus years experience or if you are brand new, trading psychology is number one, right up there next to risk. Every day, we're humans, right? We're emotional individuals, and
Yes.
Trading is a big part of that. Our emotions are a big part of trading. So I loved it. If you guys missed it, you could rewatch the recording. That's why I love it being on the YouTube. And then, like you said, we have another great one coming up. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I will be there. I'm excited. It's the Ask Me Anything, and we've been very blessed and lucky to have these opportunities to get such great individuals on Topstep TV for everybody.
Yep.
All right, 2 minutes. You let me know if you see anything. I know you are watching it. I'll watch it from the technical standpoint, but if you see something that I do not, please let me know.
Definitely got you.
Let's see. I'm just going through.
Not seeing anything major on the DOM right now. 54.80, 54.6. Nope, that's the ES DOM. Scratch that. There we go. Now I have gold up. Yep, not seeing anything.
Yeah, we're coming down to these 88s. We have a minute left, so I'm going to be looking for an opportunity to get in long. Looking for that long opportunity. Now remember, guys, this is not a signals class. And after this, we'll be talking about some slow markets concepts, and then we'll finish it off with some trading statistics. I have Coach Jay here, so I would love to get his opinion on some trading statistics. I know Coach Jay loves a good equity curve as much as I do.
Oh, yeah. The Topstep performance stats makes it so easy to look through those statistics. We did some with the VIP groups yesterday, and traders are just able to share their links. We talked through it. Obviously, that experience is a little bit different, so we can get into exactly what their executions are and things like that. But if you're reviewing your own trades, you definitely want to lean on that performance page because it tells you a lot about your trading that you might be missing.
Yep. So we are breaking down through that. So let's see if we're going to find some support. The next level of support I do see here is going to be around these 86.5, 86, pretty much the whole zone, 86. I don't know. Let's watch it. I'm going to watch it. I don't want to feel like I'm buying a falling knife. I'd rather wait to see if we could find some level of support. I mean, I don't want to sell this because that's going to be chasing it. There's no reason to sell it unless we do get to like some key area where we're breaking down. One thing to note, we do have a nice, maybe a trend line that we would look to bounce off of as well. We did find some buyers coming into the market right there at 86.8. Yeah, that could be a nice level. So that is a nice zone that we could look for some longs. So it's right at 8 p.m. Central now. I'm going to watch this, see if we can find some buyers. We are getting it.
Yep.
Ooh, that was a nice spike.
I think we're bouncing right off of VWAP right now.
Yeah, we bounced right off of it. So
yep.
Now with hindsight, that looked like an amazing buy, that 87. It's just, here's always the thing. With hindsight, it's easier to trade. Now the question I ask myself is, could I have been triggered in? And I'm going to say no, because it would be just buying it without a reason outside of just, hey, we just got to a support, buy. I haven't done that lately. I've been waiting for more of a consolidation and then a break above, which, of course, with hindsight, it would have been nice to get in at 87 and into that lower end, right around that zone.
So the way I'm looking at this, and it depends on what time frame you're looking at, but I'm looking at a 3-minute chart, and if we get a candle close, we might be sacrificing trade location a little bit here, but if we get a candle close on this 3-minute above the one that just tested VWAP, that might give us an opportunity to buy. Again, it's sacrificing trade location. Ideally, we would have got in at that 24.87. But what I'm thinking is if I can get a buy somewhere around the highs of this candle, if it holds, that tells me buyers are in control. VWAP was supportive, and then I can risk maybe the lows of this candle that tested VWAP and go from there.
Yeah, I think it comes with anything with trading, right? If we're going to be patient and wait for more of a confirmation, we increase the probabilities, but we have to sacrifice our risk reward. So we're not getting as good of a price or as good of a risk reward, but we are having a more high probable trade. So it's give or take with anything in this market. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Definitely not. And then to the inverse of that, if we don't get this candle close above here, then maybe buyers aren't interested, and the move is to sell this. We will see. Not seeing much as far as volume goes right now.
You know what we could do? We could just pull the traders in here. Long or short gold. Let's ask everybody in here.
There we go.
Everyone loves to give their opinion. Let's see what the majority of chat says. I'm liking longs. I was liking longs going into this. It just, will it give me an opportunity to get in long? And so far, no. It gave me an opportunity. It gave us an opportunity if we would just like, hey, let's just buy 87 blindly. Let's just buy this dip. But there's been too many times where, you know, it just tanks. And the next thing you know, you see a $5 candle just straight down. Look at everybody. 80%, 81% long. What's the tilt at, Coach Jay? Let's see. Let's pull
gold tilt is at 75% long from 24.88. So right around where we are, but they're in the money.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, well, that's about what this poll is coming to. This poll is coming to the long side. So, yep, gold 75% long at 24.88. Or 75% long at 24.88, 25% short at 24.88. So about the same price. The longs and shorts are about the same price. It's going to be interesting. Let's keep that open. I'm curious to see how that plays out.
I'm seeing, if you can pull up my screen for a second real quick, Dakota.
Yeah.
So this range I have marked out here is the 30-minute Globex opening range.
Okay.
So from 5 p.m. Central. I trade this just like I trade any other opening range breakout with an anchored VWAP attached to it. We're starting to see that anchored VWAP leave that range, which is saying buyers are stepping up here. So right now it's just about finding a decent spot to take a trade that you can manage your risk.
Nice. Well, we'll see. We'll see if it will give me an opportunity to get in long. I would be okay seeing a pullback and then maybe a reversal to the long side. But if not, that's okay. We were just saying we do not have to trade. And if it does not give me something that's a good setup, then I am not going to be taking it.
We got a comment here from Fister. If most traders are wrong, why not fade the tilt? That's a strategy.
Yeah, MP talks about that a lot, right? However, that's just not something it's in my strategy where I'm not going to depend on a tilt as an indicator for myself, because if I don't have that, right? If I'm trading on my own, if I don't have that, or it's just so hard for me to depend on something like that. But there is something to it, right? There's a reason why there's there. Have you looked at the tilt? Have you ever placed trades and seen what the tilt was and then seen how that trade result was? Because there is something to it.
Yeah, I haven't placed trades solely on the tilt, but I do think what I think is really interesting about it is that average price, right? Where are most people in at, right? And what I try to do is if I want to agree with the tilt, I want to try to get a better price than the average.
Yeah. So here's my I'm not going to say a tin hat theory, but my logic behind it, Coach Jay, is, you know, everyone's seeing the same tilt and everyone probably is thinking that same thing. And so to me, therefore, you know, traders are going to see that tilt, and as soon as it starts to get heavy, there's going to be traders who might want to fade that tilt, and it's going to be skewed, right? If to me traders are placing trades based off that tilt, then maybe that's not a true tilt. I don't know. There's a lot that could go into it. Like, it's kind of like rock, paper, scissors. I'm going to throw rock, you're going to throw paper. And if we do it again and again, then I'm going to try and, throw like scissors thinking you're going to, or maybe I throw paper thinking you're going to go rock and vice versa. So there's a lot of that I think comes into play when it comes to the tilts.
Chicken or the egg.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's saying Nikkei's going to the moon so far. Let's take a look. Let's jump over to Nikkei. Yes, it is. Nikkei's just breaking out.
Gonna place a buy limit for gold right around 24.88. I do like what this looks like right now.
On gold?
It's a losing trade. Yeah, 24.88. I have my order in there.
Yep, I'm actually getting ready to hop into it as well. We did come down. We found some buyers now at a little bit higher, so technically we are having a higher low, and a break above 90.1 maybe would be very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into one contract, and then I will add another one if we do break out above 90.1. So we'll see. It might not even give me the fill on that limit order. And you said you have a limit at what price, Coach Jay?
24.88. So I need a little bit of a pullback. I don't like chasing the market up, but also the candle that we were talking about, the high of it is 24.89. So I could set a limit there. I'm okay with that price as well.
Yeah, I'm doing a buy stop. So this will trigger me in right now.
On a breakout.
Yep, on a breakout. So we just broke out. I'm going to get my chart switched to ticks because we talk about ticks. And then we'll do the journaling. And maybe you could journal with me, talk through this, some
Oh,
hypotheticals. Have you seen any of that I've been doing where I just
it's good stuff.
Draw the text and then take a screenshot, and we could see that screenshot in our journals. So which is nice.
Yeah, I love the fact that the journal now you can put screenshots in it, right? Where it's awesome, right? You can write everything on the chart, take a picture of it. I'm a visual learner, so it's easy to just say, "Hey, the picture said this."
Yeah, because I'm a much better visual learner because I could type everything out, get it at this price, get it at that price. But when you take a picture and you put it in your journal, you can actually see and visually see what the market was doing. You could see the support and resistance, and it's a lot to put in terms of a text. So I'm a firm believer a picture is worth 1,000 words. So
you have a target on gold here?
What's that?
You have a target?
Yeah, 2,500 even. I'm in one. I would like to get into another one. I'd be okay with that. I want to get into two. Maybe even three. We'll see.
I just got a long one also. We tested the high of that candle that we talked about again. Going to put the trade on. This is in a Topstep combine.
Ooh, I like it. The tilt's heavy long. The chat's heavy long. You're long. I'm long. Dude, Marcus is going to sell off now. This might be a true tilt if everybody's looking to get long.
I saw some traders saying they were taking shorts up here as well. We really don't have a direction at all yet. Maybe leaning a little bit to the long side just based on that volume. But we will see. Put on the trade idea. Establish what your risk is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I just got into my second one, so that's going to be it for me right now. Risking 31 ticks, and my ultimate take profit is going to be right around 2,500. I feel like maybe 24.99 on the stretch target. So risking 31 to make 97. This is about a 3-to-1 risk reward, a little over a 3-to-1 risk reward for the stretch target, right? Do we realistically going to see us get there in an hour? Maybe not, but last night was a beautiful example. That was a great 3-to-1, 4-to-1 risk reward. I'll have to go through and see. I have short-term memory. But let's see what we could pull up here. There is a case for me to get into a third contract for a break above 90.4. I'm going to do that because this is for education. Buy stop. right there. So scaling in if we do break out and we do make a higher low. So I'd be okay with getting into a third contract if we break above 90.4. And then we were talking about time stops, Coach Jay. We are 12 minutes past 8 p.m. Central, so that could also be valid. Have you ever used the time stop?
I got my dogs barking in the background, but yes, I have used a time stop. I'm a momentum trader, so a lot of my trade entries are based on seeing a volume push happen. So if that push doesn't happen, a lot of times I will, just wait until I see the momentum.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Here we are. We're pushing back up again. So I'm going to go ahead and start journaling. The first one I think I put there is going to be an aggressive trailing stop. Okay, which I'm trying to learn this. Okay, what was the hotkey? Ew, man. All right, I'm trying to learn these hotkeys. There we go. To draw my lines straighter.
Yes.
This first one, I'm going to go ahead and call this my aggressive trailing stop. So aggressive trailing stop, I believe that I could have already moved that right there to 87.5. So this one is only risking 21 ticks for this aggressive trailing stop. And we'll see it play out. The next area for this aggressive trailing stop to me was going to be 88.5. 88.5. But not much of a trade. Every single night's new. Every single night is different. Someone says the line has its own text section. Ooh, there we go. Let's do that.
Nice. Look at that. Learning the platform.
Learning the platform together. Let's see if I could do this. Now, having its own text section and actually being able to do it is two different things. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. We'll see how that plays out. There we go. Aggressive trailing stop. Well, we want that white. Man, look at that. Nice. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that one then. How convenient.
Looks good. We got Brent saying there's news in 15 minutes in regards to time stops. What news do we have, Brent? Let us know. I'm looking at financial juice. I'm seeing Australian unemployment rate. That could have an effect.
Try the rate extent. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I like the text with this line. I do like to be able to move these texts independently to make it look clear. I don't know. We'll see. Learning with you. Learning with everybody here. As I start to learn, I'll find things that I like to do. And, yeah, we're all trying to improve in every way, not just trading. So here we are, pushing back up. I will consider moving my aggressive trailing stop to 88.4. If we do break above, because we are continuing so far another higher low. And so the question is, are we going to break above 90s? Are we going to break these 90s? Okay, I'm going to move my aggressive trailing stop. Got into a third one. Got into my third one. My aggressive trailing stop is now at negative 16 ticks. So let's go ahead and do that.
Nice burst of buying there at 24.90. It's funny because it looks like a nice burst of buying, but it's all one lots, lower volume time. So
yeah, we're not really getting that momentum. We're already 16 minutes past 8 p.m. Time stop. Where would we want a time stop? If we would have got time stopped at 15, we would have been out right there for basically scratch. If we do time stop at 30 minutes, let's do that for an example. If we do a time stop at 30 minutes, we're looking for a vertical line, and I'm going to put that right at 30 minutes, right at 8:30. That is going to be my time stop. And so wherever we're at, by 8:30 Central, I'm going to just close this trade out and see if that. Someone said I could change.
That's probably a good time because we do have that news out in Australia, which could have an effect. So maybe right before that, see if we get the push. If we get the push before it, I would love that and just go ahead and take the trade off.
starting to break out. We're starting to get that momentum ever so slowly. Sometimes trades like this are as boring as it gets. It's that feeling when you get in a trade, you just want it to go in your favor immediately. And it's going back to the psychological part. This is why traders hold their losers a lot longer, because they have that hope that it's going to turn around. They just hold on to it, and hold on to it. And the exact opposite, right? They're impatient, wanting the market to go in their favor now. And then like eventually they're just like, okay, I'm going to cut it short. And they don't have that same like hope, like, oh, I hope this is going to go up. Hope it's going to go up. Going to wait for my take profit. And they're just so anxious to just cut it short rather than just give it that time, follow the trading process. We seen it play out last night where it came so close to my stop loss, and I just followed the strategy and would end up having a nice breakout. It doesn't always work, but it avoids that human emotion to where it's like, dang it, if I would have never closed it out, that trade would have been amazing because I never did hit my stop loss. And then you have the exact opposite, like Hogan and I and the team when we're trading the house account, where it just barely touches our stop loss, and then it turned around and hit our take profits.
We got technical logic saying, look at the 30-minute, please. It's hammer time. I'm looking at the 30-minute, and I guess there is some potential resistance here. But if we,
you're talking 30-minute on gold?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. What do you see?
I mean, I see a beautiful head and shoulders pattern right there, Coach Jay.
Yep.
But other than that, no, I see what that trader's looking at the last 30 minutes. Maybe you're looking at that as a hammer, but yeah, that's not the way that we're trading on and looking at the markets.
Turn me into a meme, man, if you keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to. Where's Hungus? Where's Carl Hungus? I'm having too much fun with this. Yeah. Oh man, the power I have. Let's we could do a lot more. We could we could shrink you down, put you on wherever I want in the power of OBS.
Look at that production value.
You could ride the markets. You could ride this market. You could ride the trend if you really.
I'll be the trailing stop.
You could be the trailing stop.
You mentioned something earlier, Dakota, about hotkeys. I wanted to, just let everyone know. I did an example of hotkeys on at the buzzer a little bit earlier today. You can see on this account that I'm down $100. That's my hotkeys. I had them set to single keys initially. And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. I had them set to single keys, just S and B for buy and sell. Oh, and then when I went to type in the ES, I hit E for E, and the S sold the market, and I didn't realize it. So I got in a position. So make sure you do multiple character hotkeys. You can see now I have everything set to shift or control, just so you make sure you're intentional about what you're doing. Because I opened up my platform while I was in the gym, and I'm like, oh wait, why am I short the ES? And that was why. So make sure you use the hotkeys, but multiple keys are always better.
I could see me doing that. I need to double check that as well. You're trying to type something, and the next thing you know, you're in like long, short, different markets. You place 10 orders just typing in a word. So yeah, I don't know. Just the other day, I not really fat fingered. I screwed up and I was trading micros, 10 contracts on a micro, one mini, scaling in, scaling out. Then I switched over to the Nikkei and I pushed buy, and it bought 10 contracts in the Nikkei. Thank goodness it was just in our coach's account. And here we are again. Not wanting to do that. You can imagine doing that in a personal live account or in an XFA or something that really you shouldn't want to do that. But here we are so far. Where's that 30? I want to make sure that's on the 30-minute. We're going right back down. We're getting close to this aggressive trailing stop. Oh, we're going to stretch this out right there. Aggressive trailing stop. I gotta get used to this. These
The
words are
dom
always in
is
my way.
thinning out a little bit here. We're not seeing that push above 24.90s, right? We didn't get it
Yeah,
there.
the aggressive
We'll
trailing
see.
stop just got hit. So based on this, I would say that aggressive trailing stop just lost 16 ticks. The regular trailing stop still sitting down here at 33 ticks. We are 22 minutes past 8 p.m. Central. Nothing is really happening. So, a time stop could definitely be the better choice tonight, where if you got time stopped at 15 minutes earlier, that could have that was probably just a better choice to begin with, just getting time stopped. But aggressive trailing stop minus 16, and I'm going to go ahead and start typing out the regular trailing stop because that looks like that might get hit as well. Minus 33 ticks. Normal trailing stop. Okay, perfect. So anything else so far, Coach Jay? If not, maybe we could get to some Q&As, get to some questions that's been coming through in the chat.
Nothing else so far right now. I actually thought about just adding to this position. It's pretty close to where my stop out is. Risking about 30 ticks on this, but we're still holding that anchor view up that we were talking about. So I'm going to see if I can just get into one more. The stop is going to be exactly where it is. So I'm adding about $90 of risk to this trade. But then if we do bounce from this area, it improves that risk reward where I'm not risking that much more, where it was a position that would have already gotten stopped out. I like adding there better than adding up higher. So let's see if this view up holds and gives us another push. Ideally, and again, guys, this is a combine. So I'm kind of just like Dakota is, just journaling, seeing how things would work. We do have news coming up that I think could affect the market. So I probably would not be trading this and I'm not trading this in a funded account.
Yeah, like I said, this is for educational purposes only. We all know that. We repeated it every single night, a few times a night. The idea is to go through these trading concepts and answer questions like this. And I believe this is for you, Coach Jay. How do you define an opening range? So if you want to say what's an opening range, this is the Asian session. Is there an opening range for the Asian session?
Yeah, so opening ranges are going to be based on time for me. I use a 3-minute chart most times. So the session open, right? You want to find the session open. Asian session opens at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to look at the first 3 minutes of that time. The London session opens at 3 a.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to look at that time in the first 3 minutes. And then for Globex, because it's a little bit slower, there's a little lower volume during then. I look at the first 30 minutes, but it's based on the time frame that you use. You'll hear Hogue talk about a 1 minute. Some traders use a 15-minute. So based on the time frame that you use and the first candle of that time frame.
Okay, that makes sense. So you can have an opening range of the Asian session, you can have an opening range of the London session, and an opening range also in the New York session, right? Is that what you kind of look at then?
That's correct. Yep, that's correct.
Interesting. Love that. So after this gold trade, we'll go through maybe a couple slow markets concepts, and then we will do stats. So the link is pinned to the YouTube chat. Submit your stats there. Yep, I just got stopped out as well. Minus 33 ticks. Minus 16 on the aggressive trailing stop. So, tonight the aggressive trailing stop outperformed the normal trailing stop. And, last night before that, it was the opposite, right? So there is something. But I had a time stop at 30 minutes. If you had a time stop at, say, 15, something that I was talking about before, that one might have even been a scratch trade if you did something like that, which is also interesting. But let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and, no sense of putting that there. And so let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and journal. We're going to put this, download the image. We'll go over to our orders, so our statistics, and then go to today. There's yesterday's journal. Here is today's journal. So yesterday we made $700. Today we lost 1,000. And we will go ahead. We'll just add the journal on the day. And let me see. Make sure you're doing that image. OneDrive download today. And there it is. there is the gold trade. And, if you want, you could always add notes there, but save that journal. And then we can click on it, and there's the journal. See, an image is worth 1,000 words. Like, I could sit here and look at that, and I could say that's exactly what happened. I could see where I got in, got out, and it was just so much better. And if we look at yesterday's, right, that's a lot easier, where we could just pull it up, and you guys could see, like, hey, look, we got it. Take profit, take profit, take profit. And yesterday's was a great trade. Trying to see something similar tonight. We did not happen. It looks like the aggressive trailing stop outperformed yesterday as well. The aggressive trailing stop outperformed the normal trailing stop. So both nights, last night and tonight, the aggressive trailing stop did outperform. I would have only lost 16 ticks rather than 33. So about half. So I would have only lost $500 rather than 1,000 if I would have been using that aggressive trailing stop. So there is a big difference, such a big difference in terms of profit, right? So far, these 2 nights, I am down $300. However, if I was using that aggressive trailing stop, I very well could be up probably positive $300. Don't you love statistics? So let's go over.
I do. Don't you love getting bottom ticked on on your stop?
I'm used to it now. Ask Hogue. Ask Hogue today during Power Hour. I got freaking bottom ticked during Power Hour on ES. That's not supposed to be as volatile. And did I just get bottom ticked on gold?
I did. I think I got out at 24.85. So yeah, it happens. What's that saying? Put your entries where your stops should be. Maybe that's a good example of it. I liked where the entries were though. It was supportive. Maybe it was a little bit too tight. But we'll see.
It feels bad when the market does turn around, but looking at this chart right now, the aggressive trailing stop was spot on, right? If we was going to break to the upside, it looks like we was going to try it. We did try it. It failed, and we just broke down. And as soon as we start to break down like that, it doesn't really matter. If we get stopped out and then reverse, so be it. If it's just, you don't want to be in a trade like that. That was the trade to me, is a breakout to the upside, and we just did not get it. We couldn't hold above those 90s. Ooh, okay. What is bottom ticked? Ooh, this is going, and this is what I love traders like this. You're going to learn. Hopefully you learn from us. If you continue to trade, you're going to experience. That's what it is. So bottom ticks is what just happened. If we go over to here and we go to, show the executions, bottom ticked is the worst phrase for a trader. You could see where we were buying up here in gold, and my stop loss was at 86.5. So about 86.5 right there. So that's where my stop loss is. The market came all the way down, stopped me out. I took the loss, and then it decides to rally. That is bottom ticked. And it happened to, Coach, during the Power Hour. It happened to me and Hogue in the house account. It happened twice, actually. Where the ES came down, it stopped us out, and then it turned around and went towards our take profit. So that is bottom ticked, and I think that is a great example. I love questions like that. Never feel shy or embarrassed to ask questions that are anything close to that. I'm sure there's a lot of traders who do not maybe didn't know that. There's a lot of different terminology that comes to that. Bottom ticked. Maybe it was a liquidity grab where we went down, and it was your stop loss hunting. We could also call it stop loss hunting. There's a lot of different ways that people can call that. That was just unfortunate that it's one of them. That's part of trading. Okay, I think that's good for now. We are coming up 30 minutes past 8 p.m. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Let's do some slow market concepts, and then we'll review some trader statistics. If you don't know what I'm talking about, near the end of class, we are now doing some trader statistics. You could submit your statistics on Topstep X at that link that's pinned to the top of the chat. Put a brief description, so when we pull it up, there's some context behind that. And now that I have Coach Jay we could tag team it. Go ahead, Coach.
I love going through the stats as well. So make sure you share those in Dakota's Discord, and we'll go through them.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and look at this. So I want to talk about the trade from last night, or the idea that I was talking about last night. So I like the higher time frames. I like to look at the hourly chart. So last night we were about right here. This is where we were at last night, Coach Jay. And what the idea was that if we have just what we saw in gold, a liquidity grab or a stop loss hunt, and we do sell off, and I think it was like 78.03. This is just an example. So 78.03 was a buy limit. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. So we were looking to, we can't do it because the price is below. So let's just say 78.03 was where we was looking for a buy limit. The stop loss, I can't remember, but I think it was around like 77.60s. And then the take profit, I was looking for maybe a bit higher. That is a stretch. I was looking for a good risk reward. Last night, and this is a trade where I like to just place it and then I'll go to bed. And last night, sure enough, it would have triggered me in at 78.03. But look at that, right? Where it ran down, it triggered me in almost really well. So it doesn't always work out this great. And then we did catch a rally. The take profit was way too high. If we would have had closer to a 1-to-1, that would have been an amazing trade. We did catch a bounce. That did have a liquidity grab, but we didn't get the follow through in the continuation overnight or during the New York session. We just sold off. Tonight, I'm going to be saying the same thing. I think the same thing and the same trade can very well be valid. To me, we do have a lot of buyers, a lot of support around this 76.40 zone, plus or minus. It's a zone, right? So 76.60 to maybe 76.13. So that could be a zone. So very similar to last night. I wouldn't be prone to maybe putting a buy limit around, say, this is always the question. This is always the hard part, trying to see where the price could come down to. Dare I say 76.51. This is not a signals. This is just an example. So maybe I could do a buy limit at 76.51, saying if the market comes down to my price, it will trigger me into a long. And therefore, I must make sure I have a stop. Maybe we put a stop on this. I do like 75.81. That's risking about 70 ticks. So I'd be risking $700 on this trade. I would either need to drop down to micros or tighten my stop up a little bit. I think tighten my stop up would make more sense. I do see that these wicks, it doesn't go all the way down, but either or is fine. I do like, below 80 as a stop loss, or, maybe 76 as a stop loss, but that's not really the idea. The idea is that, if we do sell off to say 76.50, we trigger us into a long, and then we have a take profit. If we do get down and we start to reverse, maybe we come back up and we can test. I do see a lot of support. There's a lot of support right here around 77.51. So maybe try and catch a whole dollar on this one. Maybe do something like this. Now, these would be OCO bracket orders where you don't get triggered in unless one gets. So let me go ahead and put this on here. And this is the idea, right? And this is just the idea, and this is what I want to go through as I learn and practice. I'm going to continue to go more in depth, and then I'd like your opinion on it, Coach Jay, where the idea and the way that I love to trade is that I will put this order on, and I will only get triggered, not if it goes up. This wouldn't trigger me in because it would be connected only to this order. Now, it's a bit of an advanced strategy, so if you do have questions, feel free to ask them, reach out to me on that same linked Discord channel. But I will only get triggered in if we sell off and then get down to 76.51. Then the take profit and the stop loss would be active. And when I wake up in the morning, we either went down, hit my stop loss, went up, hit my take profit, or we're somewhere in between. A lot of times I don't even get triggered in. A lot of times we might just either rally up, I just miss the move, I don't get triggered in, or we're just not even down to that limit. What's your thoughts on that, Coach Jay? Have you ever traded anything similar on your personal accounts, whether it's overnight, slow markets, or even during the day?
Yeah, I have. Maybe not so much for day trading, but more like longer term investments or swing trades, picking a price and saying, hey, you know what, if we get down to this price, I want to get in. It's a price that I've identified. I'm okay with the risk. Not so much for day trades because I think I day trade a lot differently, just going off of momentum. I'm curious though, with where you have that limit sell above the market, if the market just goes up right now, would you get triggered into a short? On TopstepX. I know
Oh,
you
yeah,
wouldn't
just the way I have it set up now, yes.
Okay,
I would be triggered in the way I have it set up right now, yes. I'm just doing this for an example.
Right, gotcha.
Robert is amazing at this. I did have a class a while back, and he explained it, that over in the settings, you can do a bracket order, right, where you could put a dollar amount for this and a dollar amount for the profit, and then do those calculations.
Right.
But as it's set up right now, it would trigger me in. So it's just an example. The best thing that we could do is, maybe we can try and let's do it. Let's just do it for fun. Let's try and see if I could do this. So if I want to get triggered in at 76.51 and my stop loss would be at 76.01, it's $10 per tick. So I'd be risking, let's just say 700. Let's do the math. Let's go ahead and do the math. I don't mind doing it because I think that's an important thing. I want to get in at 76.51, and I want my stop loss to be, this is just an example, 75.81. Let's just say 81. 75.81. Because I want it to be a 1 for easy math. So I would be risking $700, 70 ticks. So I'm going to go into my settings and put risk 700. Correct?
Yep.
And then for a take profit, if we do, so there's my entry. I'm going to go ahead and mark my stop loss at 71. And then let's just do a 1-to-1 risk reward. Let's go ahead and put 70. Let's look at this. 70. I would be okay if we see 77.51 again. So maybe this right there. So let's just do 51. Risk, we'd be making $1,000. So it's a little over a 1-to-1. So we'll go into these settings and put 1,000. Right? Automatically apply to bracket into new positions. Okay. Go ahead and click on save. And we'll go over here, and then I'm going to go ahead and place that order, and we'll find out together. Maybe it triggers me, and maybe it doesn't. I'll be on to slow markets tomorrow. Let's go ahead and get this. Let's do it. Now I'm curious. Let's go. Come on. I'm struggling here. We'll do a buy limit 1.
Yep.
Come on. I try to get to 51. Okay, we're testing my skills. 51. There we go. So what this would mean is I will get triggered into a long only if it comes down here and touches it. And once I do get triggered in, I would have a stop loss at 75.81 and a take profit at 77.80 or 77.51. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so there we go. That is how you set it up. This is purely an example in a demo account. If you have a practice account, may I suggest you can follow along in a practice account only. So that way, you could get used to this. And this is not a signals class. However, I've been thinking about that, Coach Jay, and there could be somewhere you could follow along, right? Like, hey, follow along with me. I'm going to set some things up. Maybe you try and set it up in a practice account. I'm stressing practice account. And, as you learn in a practice account, you can do it. Because a lot of times there's reading a book and then there's actually doing something and having that experience. So watching me do it is a whole lot different than you doing it yourself. Because when you do it yourself, you gain that confidence. You figure it out. You learn it yourself. And so, may I suggest, maybe if you want to just try it, maybe you can hop into like MCL, do it in a practice account. You could do these things. I love experimenting and doing things like the hotkeys, like you said, Coach Jay, the hotkeys, any new feature here on Topstep X or something you want to try a new practice account, and then just play around with it. That's what a practice account is for. It's like sandbox mode when you are in programming. You like, there's so many things that we could do when practicing, testing new things out. So anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe I get triggered in and I get stopped out, minus $700. Maybe I get triggered in and I wake up tomorrow with $1,000 in my pocket, or I just don't even get triggered in. I have had plenty of both. So, all right. That being said, any thoughts on that, Coach Jay, before we move over to some trader statistics?
Nope. I think we're good. Let's move on.
All right. Just like that. Let's look at.
So let's. One thing I do want to mention. Where is it? The order tab. So someone had asked a question about this the other day. Do you have to have the DOM up in order to use your hotkeys? You don't. If you just have the order tab up, the hotkeys work as well. So you do have to have one or the other, but if you don't use the DOM and if you don't want it to take up real estate on your screen, just put an order tab up. You can activate the hotkeys there, and it'll work the same way.
Okay, perfect. Let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and start looking at some of these statistics. You have access to that channel too, Coach Jay. If you see any that pop out to you, let me know and I'll pull them up. Right now, I do have one that we're going to be reviewing. Let's go ahead and pull this one up. This one, let's go ahead. Oh, I could share this one to you, Coach Jay, and then we could be on the same page. We could look at it and all the fun stuff. So give me just 1 second. So right there, that is the one. So you guys can see it. Looks good. Let's actually, with the power invested in me, let's move you. So don't you just love that?
Yep.
Is this what Jack feels like on the Day Show? Does he feel?
I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah.
This is where Jack gets his kicks. This is I understand how he feels now. I'm gonna bring that up to him. I know why he loves his job. So that being said, let's get to this. This is an express funded account. So as an express funded account, that has a lot more pressure, as you know, Jay. We all know that. We've been through the express funded account, and there's always more pressure when we have the ability to get a payout. What's your thoughts on this as we go through this? Let me know if you see something that could be of importance. The first thing I see, obviously, $12,000 in express funded account. Great job.
Am I looking at the wrong account?
Yeah, let me. I shared it with you. If not, you
shared
can
it
see
in Discord, right?
If not, you could see it on the YouTube screen.
Okay. Yep, I got you.
Yeah. So $12,000 in express funded account. That is great to see. It looks like this trader's been there for a while, so possibly eligible for a payout. That is already a great equity curve to begin with, and yeah, right around that sweet spot for the risk reward. Almost 1 3/4 for a risk reward. The winning trade percent is just over 41%.
Yeah, this is awesome. Like you just said, the time in this account, right? June 21st is when this account opened. We're almost 2 months into this account with a pretty steady equity curve, right? You see some drawdowns. Looks like a $3,000 drawdown in July. But outside of that, really nice recovery the next day. And, just continuing to push forward. Really like to see accounts like this. You started off with some very nice progress, right? Not trying to force it out of the gate. We see traders do that all the time and end up blowing the account. But steady growth over time. And you must like shorting the markets because your trades over the last couple of days, the start of August, added to that P&L.
So the first thing I'm noticing, and now remember, making money. You can't really knock on, someone who's profitable and trading like this over a period of 2 months. However, there is one thing that I do see. There are actually two days, right? And I think it's right here and I hope they're watching this, because this is something that I think I'm going to get. This is me taking a complete guess of what's going on. Okay. So, you have a really ugly losing day, like boom, lost. Like that's an ugly day. And the very next day is a really good winning day, right? And then here we go again, really ugly day, and then followed by a really big day. So I'm curious, is there some revenge trading, and maybe you just happen to nail a bigger than normal trade? Like maybe you scaled up to make some of that money back, and you happen to do just that and make some of that money back. I do like this, right? Where you, for example, you did take a bad loss and then you grinded through that. But something like this, where one day big loss, the very next day big win, right? So, there could be some breadcrumbs and some indication that some emotion, some revenge trade, where you just, I don't want to say the word get lucky, but yeah, there could be some of that involved. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm looking at those big losing days. There's about 3 or 4 max loss losing days on this account. The day July 15th, there's a lot of flipping bias, right? Which is okay, but I see you got short. The short didn't work out, then you got long. And then the long didn't work out, so you got short again. The short didn't work, then you got long again, right? There's not one winning trade on that account. When you're that out of the pocket, try to save yourself some money and say, hey, maybe I'm not seeing something correctly, and take a step back, right? There are about, I think there's 14 trades on that day, each one being a loser. And it happens, right? We're all going to have losing trades. We're all going to have a losing streak. But try to identify if you're not in the pocket with the market, right? And I'm looking at all these trades. They happen between 8:50 Eastern time and 9. So within an hour, you flipped your bias probably 5 or 6 times, and each one being wrong. So what that looks like is you probably had an initial idea, it worked out, you missed that trade, and then you flipped to the other side, which we all do all the time. So just try to be aware of that when that's happening, and it's okay, like we were saying before, to just not take a trade and maybe just step away for a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I agree with you. And like I said, some of this is just guessing, and just going through this, right? Looks like there are some really great winning days, like 4,000, 2,400, and then sprinkling. There's a majority of these winning days are like $300, and you can imagine one losing day could wipe out 10 of these, really good days. Yeah, let's look at it. Is there a difference in trade size? No, I'm not seeing a real big difference in trade size. They're all like single lots. I like that.
Single lots, maybe scaling in a little bit when the trade's going in your favor. But I'm looking at that $2,000 winning day on July 8th, and kind of like what we were talking about just now with flipping the bias. On that day, most of the trades were to the long side, right? So you're reading the market well. You did have 2 shorts in there that were positive as well, but you made most of your money going one way, reading where the market was going, getting in flow with it, and going that way. So
I like that. Yeah.
When you're in the pocket, stay there. When you're not, you got to realize that you're not.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I like that perspective. I love having you on here going through these statistics. The 2 different perspectives is really good. I'm sure this is very helpful. It adds a lot of value. And we're really diving in depth of this. Looks like this trader's switched to micros now as of recently, August 14th. There's some micros, lots of micros today. I like that. Micros for the past few days, actually. So I do like seeing that. Wow, lots of micros, which is very positive, and not doing too bad. Not doing too bad over the past 2 weeks. Look, all winning. Like, look at that beautiful week last week, all winning days, made some good money. Even this week, even tonight, it looks like they were trading, and up 1,200 on Monday, 200 on Thursday. So I do like that, getting in with the micros. It looks like tonight you're trading NASDAQ micros, doing really well as well. And one thing I was going to note is like a lot of trades, which it can be okay. Like whenever I see this, like 1,500 trades over 2 months seems to be long or a lot. But if you're scaling in, scaling out, that's perfectly okay. I do like this, and you could see this, Coach Jay, where a lot of his losses he's cutting short. Where as you hold it, the longer you hold it, the like 83% of your winners if you hold it between 10 to 30 minutes. 71% of the winners are between 5 and 10 minutes. And a lot of your losses looks like they're coming really quick. So I do like to see that as well.
Last thing I'll point out, you just did mention the trade numbers, right? 1,350 trades over the course of 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing in August probably 800 of those trades in August alone, right? 185 trades on Friday, the 2nd, 266 trades on the 9th, and then 367 trades yesterday. Like you said, it could be profitable, and you're trading micros, so I know you're scaling in and out of trades. We saw that trader on shoulder tap today made $11,000 trading 3,000 contracts in the micros. Just be conscious of how many trades you're taking, but if it's working, it's working, and I'm not going to knock you for that.
Fair enough. Okay, last one. I love doing this. We could sit here and talk about this for hours. Okay. Here's another one. This is the last one that was submitted. You could probably see that there, Coach Jay. Let me see if I could copy this and put it there to you. Give me just 1 second, Coach Jay, and in our chat. Bam, there we go. Express funded account. Yeah, this is another good one to look at. I love seeing this. Express funded account. This trader, if we pull up my charts, this trader is up $30,000 in his express funded account. Wow, I love seeing this. This was very nice to see. Let's go ahead and pick this one apart. I'm curious. Let's see. What do we think about this? Let's pick it apart. This one looks like a scalper. Immediately, I'm going to say there's a lot of short trades on this, maybe bigger size short trades. This is me guessing. I'm going to be guessing on this one, Coach Jay. I think this trader has a lot of, bigger position trades and really quick scalping, just because I see the average risk reward. I do see the risk reward is under $1. It's at 0.78, but the winning trade percentage is almost 62. So you're still having a really nice profit factor. You can obviously see that's correlating to money. $30,000 in a month. We have 1 month. So I am definitely taking that they're trading bigger size and possibly a lot of trades. We'll see as we get down there. Thoughts on this so far, Coach Jay?
This looks like this might be Barry Bonds, right? I'm swinging for the fences, or I'm striking out, right? Where there's big winning days, or you're hitting your DLL. And when it works, I can't say too much. You're up 30 grand in a month, right? So you can hit those big days, but just be careful with those DLLs, right? If you happen to get on a streak of losing days, it could happen. Then that account value can dwindle. Maybe try to find another number that you control, right? When we used to do one-on-one coaching all the time, we tell traders that DLL, use it like a guardrail on the highway. Like, you don't want to hit it. You know where it is, but you want to wake up on the rumble stripes before you hit the guardrail, right? Where, hey, I'm still in control of this situation, and maybe not using that DLL because you're just developing that discipline of, hey, you know what? I'm not right. I'm just going to cut it here. Because if you're in an account that you can't set a DLL, most platforms you can now. But if you're not there, right? If it's not $3,000, where would you stop? That would be my question.
Yeah. I mean, take a look at this. As you hover over the gains, someone pointed this out in the chat, 141,000 in gains, and then 111,000 in losses. So it's a high volume trader. And as I'm starting to scroll through here, that's making sense. 397 trades in a month, with a total of 924 trades. Average trade duration is 10 minutes, so that's good, right? I do like that. This is interesting. This is definitely interesting. So average winning trade 500, average losing trade 700, so bigger size. But look at this, worst trade, and this is kind of what I was thinking would be happening on the losing days. 15 contracts, so max position size, and then getting major slippage. With a daily loss limit of, say, 3,000, you're getting $1,800 worth of slippage on this. So, yeah, I could see that that's happening. And then your best trade is when you're only 3 contracts, right? So maybe there is something to be said. Look, 3 contracts, best winning trade. Worst losing trade, 15 contracts. So maybe keep it on the small side, right? That is probably more times than not the best thing to do. Obviously, it shows here right now your best trade was only 3 contracts. It doesn't take a lot of size to lose or make a lot of money.
So if you can pull up I have it up right now, but go to August 3rd. Okay, we're on my screen.
Yep.
This is that day with that huge loss, right? The biggest loss on that account. You were up at the time you took that trade. You were up $5,500, and then you put on a 15 lot, right? Where you were seeing something, right? You had some 15 lots on earlier. It looks like. Let's see when you started the 15 lots. So you started off with 3, which is your bag, right? Stay in that pocket.
Yeah.
Then you had some 15s on. Then you put a 15 on, right? Because you were doing well. You put a 15 on, lost it, put another 15 on, made it right back, and then traded that. Again, just because I can't tell you too much, you're up 30 grand.
Yeah. Take this
right.
with a grain of salt, right? 30 grand's 30 grand.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could duplicate this every single month, then why not? But we're just going through and seeing if there's anything that could be like a red flag, something to watch out for. And that's what we must do as traders. You're making money, and there's always going to be something to improve, watch out for, be careful, because the last thing you want to do is give this $30,000 back up to the market without taking a payout. And we hear, Hogan, Mick, and everybody on Topstep, who's been here, done that. Pay yourself, right? Get to a position to where you can take a payout and take some of that, make it real, right? 30,000. You don't have to take out the full 50%. Just take something out, make it real. I know for me that was dramatic as well. When I first started pulling money out of the markets, it felt really, really good. Like, oh wow, this is actually, real, and it's not just numbers on the screen. So where the next time you do throw a 15 lot on there and take, $5,000 worth of drawdown, it's a lot more than just a number on the screen.
Yeah, you're doing something right though, right? Just make sure you just manage that money well. You could, and that's the thing with trading, right? You could make $1 million today. If you lose $1.1 million tomorrow, then you're not profitable. So, you keep doing what you're doing. What I will say, props to you on not getting tilted. Being up $5,500, losing $4 grand, and then being able to make it back, right? A lot of times we see those days turn into DLLs. So you do have some, intestinal fortitude to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to make it back. Props to you for that. But make it a little easier on yourself.
Yeah, and so now it's going down to like trade duration. I'm going to kind of speed things up here. We're coming to the end of the class. But yeah, trade duration. Let's take a look at this. You're cutting your losses short. That's beautiful. Look at all the losses are typically coming within 2 minutes, and then you're nice holding those winners. So that's a beautiful thing to see. As always, we see a nice bell curve, and this is good to see that the bell curve's positive, green to the longer side. So that's positive. Let's take a look at the month to month. I do like this. So even though you're hitting your daily loss limit, right? Hey, DLL, $3,000. That's okay. That can be okay. And people might take a DLL, a daily loss limit, as such a negative thing. But it depends on how your winning days are. Okay. So
Jack says that all the time.
Yeah. Like DLL is not a bad thing if and only if in relation to your winnings, right? Because if you're only making like $400 a day and then you hit a DLL, that's bad. That's really bad. You're wiping out so many positive days. But for this example, it's not bad, right? Look, let's take a look for this week in July. 1,400 plus 3,000 plus 35 plus 10, and then DLL. Still an amazing week. That's an amazing week. A DLL is equal to or less than what your averaging on your winning days. I'm for this example, and then 10,000, minus 3, then plus 5,000, then minus 3, minus 3. And let's go ahead and look at this month so far. I mean, here's another good example, right? Your winning days, on some of these examples are 2 times your DLL. So it can be okay. What I had a hard time with is scaling up. And I'm sure Mick could say this is like, okay, what's going to happen if you increase your DLL? Like, what if you did, right? If you increase your DLL to 6,000, are your days going to be minus 6,000? And then are your winners still only going to be, 3,000? Or are your winners going to be 6,000, right? And there's so many things that you could think of. But this shows the importance of a daily loss limit. Without this daily loss limit, how bad of a day could you have, right? I could only imagine if without a daily loss limit, things could get much uglier and a lot quicker. So I love a daily loss limit for this particular example. It's a beautiful thing when used properly.
Yep. Last thing I would say, if you haven't already, make sure you pay yourself.
Yeah. That's so.
Make sure you pay yourself.
Yeah, so be it. Other than that, Coach Jay, I love your at the buzzer. That's great. Big shout out to you. I'm excited to see how that is. How do you feel with it?
It's good. It's been good. It is a lot to do producing the show and still providing content, but the feedback has been good so far. Next week, and I need to talk to you a little bit about this, about getting guests on. Next week, we're going to try to pull Coach Paul in on a Monday so we can get back to how we were running it in Discord.
Okay.
But it's a great opportunity. Love reviewing the markets when nothing is happening, so we can see, hey, where were opportunities? So to me, it's like reading game film, right? We want to know how to respond when something happens, so then we can just read and react when the time is. So it's been good so far. And Danielle, love at the buzzer. Love you, Danielle.
Don't mention her name; she'll pop up. Oh, well, there she is.
She's here.
She's here. Okay. But yeah, no, I love that at the buzzer. We got Nick for a tick on Sundays. We have Dee doing the London session at 3:30 a.m. Man, like this is just becoming such a production. This is best, right? This is tradertainment, and there's so much value into this when I get to sit here with you, Coach Jay, and we could go through some really great trading statistics. And never looking to, this is purely constructive criticism, whether you're winning or whether you're losing. We're looking for areas, we're reviewing it, like pat on the back when I see something great, talk about something like, hey, maybe watch out for this. This could be a red flag, because I've experienced, I know you as well, Coach Jay, has experienced, similar things, emotions and things that we go through that, if something we say tonight or if something we've said tonight was able to help you out, then you know what? That's all that matters, right?
All that matters.
Exactly. Other than that, any last words?
Nope. Trade well tomorrow. We do have jobless claims out before the New York session open. Don't have to trade in that volatility, but you can trade afterwards. Whatever you do, make sure you manage your risk. And we will talk to you all tomorrow. You on TopstepTV tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Thursday. Nope, but I will be on Friday morning. Me and you, right, Coach Jay?
I don't know if I'm on Friday morning. I am on tomorrow with Dee for Market Stalking. I got to check the schedule. Sorry, Danielle, if I am and I didn't realize it, but we'll work on getting better at that. But yeah, have a good day tomorrow, everyone.
All right, guys. I will see you then. I will be on tomorrow during slow markets. And until then, take care.